Played over the top. Sirois knocked down.
The Cardiac Kids do it again.
Lucho scores. And Cincinnati has leveled the match.
FC Cincinnati comes from behind in the Great White North. Montreal the victim this time, and it happened at the death. The hunt for hardware is coming to the fortress. The supporter shield is in sight. Cincinnati, here we go. Good evening, everyone, and welcome into FC Cincinnati Weekly. He is Tom Gallardo, Tommy G, the voice of FC Cincinnati. I'm Caleb Noah. Wake up, kids. It's Christmas. Haven't you heard? Luciano Acosta signed a contract extension with FC Cincinnati through the 2026 season. Tommy, just a huge piece of news out of the front office this week. No doubt about it, Luciano Acosta has been and will continue to be a huge part of this team.
No question about it, right? Lucho is staying in orange and blue. There was a contract option for next year that had not yet been exercised. Both sides wanted to get this done. So credit to Chris Albright, credit to the ownership group, of course, led by Carl Lindner, and credit to Lucho for making this happen during the season, because Lucho right now is putting together MVP-type numbers. What comes with MVP-type numbers? Certainly a raise, and a well-deserved one for FC Cincinnati's captain, because he has been fantastic. Look at the graphic on your screen right now. All he's done is contribute to the orange and blue, and therefore this extension is something that he earned.
In so many different ways. He's the all-time leader in goals and assists for FC Cincinnati in the club's MLS history. He leads MLS in 2023 this season with 25 goal contributions. That's goals and assists. He was last year named to the MLS Best 11 list. He was voted to the MLS All-Star team each of the last two seasons, and this season, you may remember, he was the captain on the MLS All-Star team.
Yeah, no doubt. Look, Lucho is a player that loves being here in Cincinnati. He's not from here, folks. He's from Argentina.
Yeah, not
but
even
Lucho
close, but
loves the Queen City. He loves the fans. His kids love being here, and he has decided that he wants to be here long term. I'll be honest, after 2021, I don't know that anybody maybe saw this as a long-term relationship. But 2021 wasn't a great year for the club. Things turned in 2022. Chris Albright came on, but even in 2022, Lucho, a little bit of a slow start before turning in that best 11 performance and making it to the All-Star game. So I give him so much credit for being a leader, for being the captain that Pat Noonan has needed, and for being the type of player who now, for my money, is the leading MVP candidate.
Sure. Yeah, why not? Right? Let's get to this week's highlights here. We'll start with the most recent game. FC Cincinnati went up to the Great White North on Wednesday to take on CF Montreal. It was a rematch of a game back in May where FC Cincinnati cruised on to an easy 3-0 victory. Coach Pat Noonan's club had not scored first in 7 of the last 8 MLS matches. This night, they would not break that trend here, Tommy. They were able to hold off Montreal until the second half, early in the second half here, but they surrender the breakthrough in the 53rd minute. Yeah,
it was a bit of an odd game, Caleb. They conceded some possession early, then that evened out through the first half, but both teams seemed a bit sloppy at times, and both teams seemed to not complete their opportunities in the final third. Montreal didn't have a lot of creativity in the final third, and here you just see Opoku kind of drop his head, pick out a spot, and Roman almost got there. It wasn't far. It was kind of like that dive I saw you on your Instagram last night. I saw you limping in here after that 2 days later. We'll talk about that later. But then the chances late started coming for FC Cincinnati. Aaron Bupenza and Brandon Vasquez didn't have the best night, so there were some changes. Yuya Kubo came on into the match. Dambaji came in. Sergio Santos ended up coming in. Lucho tried to pick out a spot there. Wasn't able to make anything of it, but you were starting to feel, okay, they're getting looks. Will there be one that they can finish? All right, here goes Dambaji right to the edge of the box. You can't do that. No. As a goalie, Jonathan Sirois was called for the foul. He was booked with a yellow card, and a penalty was awarded to the orange and blue. A bit of a favor? Sure. Did it come at the death? Absolutely. But FC Cincinnati was able to see. You'll see the penalty kick here in a moment. They saw it out after a no doubt about a foul. I'm not sure what Jonathan Sirois was thinking here.
Yeah, no, I mean, you typically have to do something pretty egregious as a keeper to be given a yellow card in the box and have a foul called on you. But truly, Dambaji had the positioning there, and the goalkeeper wasn't even making a play on the ball.
He put his arms in him, right? And then he argues with John Freeman after the fact that he shouldn't have been booked. Lucho steps to the spot, buries the penalty kick. He has done that 6 times this year from the penalty spot, and the captain evens the match at 1-1.
He don't miss one there.
And then there was maybe 60 seconds to see it out. FC Cincinnati gets a point, and that was very, very big.
And they struggled throughout the course of the match to You mentioned the pressure they put on Montreal's defense, even late in the game there, but they struggled to put the ball in the net. They manufactured a way at the end of the match, the very, very end of the match, at the death, to even the match out.
Well, and sometimes that's what you say, right? Great teams find a way to win on nights when they're not very good. And FC Cincinnati wasn't great on Wednesday night, but they found a way to get a result. They didn't get the win. 3 points certainly would have been nice as far as the Supporters' Shield race is concerned, because some other things fell in favor of the orange and blue. But they got a point, and that was important.
After the game, head coach Pat Noonan had these comments about the game and the drive for the Supporters' Shield.
It's not going to be easy. Winning's hard, and we're seeing that now. But when you're not able to win a game, the importance of, having the feeling of we just got a tie in the 90 whatever minute to, get a good point on the road. You have to recognize the importance of that.
Yeah, it's a mature way of looking at that from head coach Pat Noonan, a guy who's been around the block and understands how things work. Well, I think it's an understanding way of looking at that, to know that it was a draw in a game that maybe we felt like we had chances to win and score goals earlier in the match than in second half stoppage time. But you get out of there with a result. And it's a Montreal team that's pretty much that's been good at their place.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been really good. And they had won 17 straight games when scoring first. So FC Cincinnati is the first team to snap that streak. They don't beat them, but they end that streak of winning 17 straight when they score first. They had not lost, obviously, this season when getting that first goal. They're really good at home. But I still think you could tell in the voice of Pat Noonan, a little bit disappointed that his team didn't get out there with 3 points, because he knew his team was good enough, just didn't execute well enough.
Right. Yep. Very good point. Last weekend, FC Cincinnati began their restart after the break with a trip to the city of brotherly love to face a team that was second in the power rankings coming into the match. They looked good to start this match, Tommy. Jose Martinez got the Union on the scoreboard first. We're talking Philly, this game in Philly.
Right, they did, and a shot from distance. Jose is not a player that scores quite a bit. And the Union, again, strikes first against FC Cincinnati. Kind of been the theme as of late.
Which is totally opposite early season.
Yeah, right. Early on, that all FC Cincinnati did was score the first goal, and they won most of those games. And then, so 1-0 to Philadelphia with that Jose Martinez strike, and then Philadelphia continues to work. And it was funny, this game kind of got away from FC Cincinnati with some of the nonsense that was going on the field.
Yeah.
There was this opportunity. Look, it's a foul on Roman Celentano. It sets up a penalty kick. Gazdag has been so good from the penalty spot this year. He got another one in the midweek game. Philadelphia has taken 11 penalties this year. Gazdag has taken all 11, but the foul committed here, he ends up going to the spot, and suddenly it's 2-0 at Philadelphia, who is so good at Subaru Park. You see the penalty kick attempt, and Roman guessed right, just couldn't quite get to it. It's a really well-taken penalty from Daniel Gazdag. He's been so good this year, one of the best at his position, and certainly one of the best penalty kick takers in Major League Soccer. So it's 2-0. You start the second half. All three of your center backs had yellow cards. Your goalkeeper had a yellow card. You subbed one of them, and you brought on Aaron Bupenza, and here we go. Boop, there it is, right into the game. He slots this one past Andre Blake, and you're like, whoa, 2-1, 49th minute.
We got a half a game left.
Yeah, it is game on. Yuya Kubo set it up, and FC Cincinnati, there was a heartbeat, and they were playing better. And Pat said, look, I told the guys to get back to playing soccer. Stop worrying about the emotion and stop worrying about all the bickering that you're picking up extra yellow cards. Here comes Boop again with a quarter of an hour left. He sends it off to Brandon Vasquez. Somehow, some way, Aaron didn't get credit for the assist, but it does not matter because he puts the ball right across the mouth of the goal. Brandon Vasquez takes the touch, dinks it right up over Andre Blake, and it's 2-2, and the comeback is complete for FC Cincinnati to get something out of what looked like it was going to be a disastrous night. Now, well, there was a little bit of disappointment because Yerson Mosquera had gotten a yellow card for some of the nonsense off the ball in the first half. Then he steps on the guy's foot. He commits the foul. That's a yellow card. There's no question about it. Unfortunately, it's a second yellow card, and therefore he was suspended for the match Wednesday night against Montreal.
Philadelphia would later get a red card of their own.
Right, same type of thing, where they had a yellow card earlier in some of the nonsense of the game. There was 12 yellow cards in the match, ended up with 2 red cards. But and then one of the players committed a foul that's clearly a yellow card foul. Normally not a big deal in the 88th minute, 90th minute, whenever it was. But when you're on a yellow card, that means you're sent off. So both teams had ended up with a suspension out of that one.
Is 2-0 in soccer the most dangerous lead in sports? That's what people say.
And, that's what people say. And I've called a lot of games where I've seen that evaporate, so it very well may be.
Another rematch on the slate for tomorrow night's game at TQL Stadium. Charlotte comes into the Fortress trying to better their draw with the orange and blue back in July. Let's take a look at our match preview brought to you by Tri-State GMC Buick. Much like the Philly game from last weekend, FC Cincinnati went down 2-0 in the first meeting. We're talking about, again, that draw with Charlotte. FC Cincinnati went down early, had to battle back here.
Yeah, and frankly, we're not playing very well in the game. This was a game where Ian Murphy ended up being sent off. He had the yellow card there, got another one later. But Alvaro Barrial really turned it on with Lucho Acosta. You see Barrial here. He set up the penalty kick inside of the 18. That made it 2-1. And then it's Barrial just putting him on skates and slotting that ball to the far post and into the side netting. And FC Cincinnati was able to erase another deficit. And again, I think that's a big part of the heart and the grit and determination of this team. Now, Charlotte comes in, a team that needs a result. They're outside of the playoff picture right now. So they've got to battle, and they've got to come into the Fortress where FC Cincinnati is 12-1-1 this year. So it's going to be a very interesting battle. It is hopefully, I think, for all the FC Cincinnati fans, one like that. Remember that New York City game a couple of weeks ago where it's kind of calm, collected, businessman-like performance where FC Cincinnati can just come in, take care of business, get 3 points, and get a little bit closer to that eventual supporter shield.
But I mean, like we've talked about all season long, especially here in kind of the second half of the season, if you're FC Cincinnati, you're going to have that target on your back. You're going to get a team's best shot. And sometimes you're going to get teams coming in doing things that you didn't necessarily expect them to do because they're going to give you their best shot.
Yeah,
every
absolutely.
Time.
No, there's no question.
And try to do things that
you have a
don't
target the size of the moon. We talked about that before on your back because you're in first place, because you're the supporter shield leader right now. Everyone wants to see FC Cincinnati fall. But that hasn't happened very much, right? 4 losses all season long. So, look, this is a team that's very good. This is a team that's closing in on the supporter shield. And, hopefully that celebration is coming soon. They can get closer with 3 points Saturday night. It's Noche Latina for the game at TQL Stadium.
Yeah, let's see it.
Special warm-up tops. You can get them now at the team store. Lock them in for the match tomorrow night, Hispanic Heritage Night.
Can I just say one thing? That goal, that game-tying goal by Alvaro Barrial, maybe not my favorite. Probably my favorite goal of the season was the volley off the corner in the U.S. Open Cup. Hard to argue that's my favorite. That game-tying goal was top 5 this season.
Yeah, when he gets those looks, man. Alvaro maybe doesn't have as many goals as Brandon or as Lucho, but boy, oh boy, when he gets them, they're pretty. They end up on the highlight reel. That's for sure.
Absolutely. You can listen to Tommy and his partner Kevin McCluskey on the radio, ESPN 1530 during the games, or on iHeartRadio. Don't forget that you can listen to the home team radio audio when you watch MLS Season Pass. When you watch on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, get into your settings and choose home team audio. Tomorrow, FC Cincinnati is at home. You can listen to Tommy and Kevin.
Kevin's back.
Kevin is back.
A month
how was his
away.
honeymoon?
He should have a really good tan, right? I mean, one day he'll be back in this seat, but he's back with me tomorrow night. I can't wait.
All right, thank you so much, Tom.
Yeah, always a pleasure.
The United States women's national soccer team was in town last night for a friendly with South Africa. We will show you how the U.S. women did on the pitch at TQL Stadium after the break. Stay with us. This is FC Cincinnati Weekly. Well, TQL Stadium has been the host of some big-time soccer matches over the years, meaningful international games. Thursday night, the U.S. women's national team made a return trip here to Cincinnati, and it was a special night at TQL for one of our own, Cincinnati native M.A. Vignola, Mary Alice Vignola, St. Ursula grad, making her first ever appearance with the national team and doing it in her hometown. How cool is that? She subbed on at halftime, played the second half. What a special night for MA. It was also the official farewell to one of the U.S. mainstays, Julie Ertz, her final game in the red, white, and blue, and she played it here in Cincinnati at TQL Stadium. There were goals to be had for the U.S. side, 3 of them in the first half. 2 of them went to Lynn Williams. She got the brace last night, and the other one was Trinity Rodman. The U.S. wins, no problem. They beat South Africa 3-0. It's the first of 2 friendlies they will play against South Africa. The other one will be up in Chicago. Here's part of what Cincinnati native M.A. Vignola told us about her special night.
It's been a journey. Everyone's journey is a little bit different. Mine's been a rocky road, but it has taken a lot of time, effort, and work to get to this point, but it was worth it all.
And I mentioned it was the final game in the red, white, and blue for Julie Ertz. Here's part of what she said after the match.
To any young girl that's out there that dreams to be here, it's worth it. Every part of it. I'm grateful to be part of the U.S. soccer family.
Up next, we'll give you an inside look at player development within FC Cincinnati. We're going back to school after the break with a report on the FC Cincinnati Academy. You know, watching video like that full of skillful moves almost makes it look easy, which we all know it isn't. The foundation for play like that starts at a young age, like the age of the players in the FC Cincinnati Academy. Here's a report on what's going on in club player development.
Hi, I'm Larry Sunderland. I'm the Director of Player Development for FC Cincinnati. This is the beginning of our 5th season. We have 5 teams that play under the Academy umbrella, the under 13s, under 14s, 15s, 17s, and 19s. The 13s through 17s all play in the MLS Next system, and the under 19s are in the UPSL League. I think, look, over the last 4 years, we've been able to promote 7 players from the Academy directly to the first team. We've also given 25 Academy players their professional debuts. So I think we want to see more of that. And I also want to see a bit more connection to what the first team is doing, with our older teams beginning to look a lot more like the first team on the field of play. Of course, we're really proud about the guys we were able to move through to the first team, but also trying to just help develop good young men that are going to contribute to society. Most all of our players, if they don't go to the first team, they graduate through and they go into university. So yeah, we're really proud of all the players growing through the system. You know, you can look at outcomes, right? And that's probably the easiest, most tangible thing to see the wins versus the losses. But I think overall, I think it's more about developing our style of play, developing a way about us, how we educate the players, our methodology, all of these things linking up in this kind of an FCC1 idea. I think that's truly the best outcome for us. I'm most proud about the players that graduate from the academy that we see coming back, and they want to see the younger guys coming through the system so that we grow this kind of alumni family of players. There's a real pride in that amongst all the players. I hope to see improved play on the field. We have a lot of new players in that are going to have to acclimate to the way we play. I hope to see more players moving through to the second team and hopefully get some guys to the first team. I hope to see that the camaraderie amongst all the players just continues.
Welcome back, everyone, to FC Cincinnati Weekly. FC Cincinnati returns to TQL Stadium tomorrow for a rematch with Charlotte FC, a team that FC Cincinnati had trouble with the last time they played them. Earlier this season, that game was in Charlotte. They played to a draw, and Charlotte's a team that currently sits over 20 points behind them in the table. Come on out and help secure the Supporters Shield for the Fortress. Get your tickets at fccincinnati.com. Well, that's our show for this week. Thank you so much for watching. Join us here every Friday night at 7:30 for FC Cincinnati Weekly, the most comprehensive coverage of the orange and blue you'll find anywhere out there. For our guy Tommy G and the rest of our FC Cincinnati Weekly crew, have a great night and go FCC.